Great animal. Go, Jan.
Yes, hello. This question is from Pat from the US. And the question is, what would happen if a white rhino and a black rhino showed up at the same place? Would they intermingle or fight for territory?
Okay, Pat, interesting question. We're just going to catch up to this rhino again quickly. White rhino and black rhino, I mean, traditionally you would actually find them in similar habitats to an extent, even though they feed on very different foods. Oh, he's marking again. Let's try, let's see. There you can see it. Look at that. Spraying. Finally we've seen it. It's just that spray. It's not a very big effort there. There was just a sort of a little marking. And also when they really get into the marking, they drag their feet and they kick up the dust to get the dust into the urine as well. Now he's having a few bouts of grass again. So Pat, as I was saying, white rhinos are grazers and black rhinos are browsers. So in terms of feeding, there's no competition. The one eats grass, white rhinos, black rhinos eat twigs and leaves. So there's no competition for resources. And in habitats where you get enough grass and thorn sort of mixed felt like you would in this area and other parts, you would normally have both species occurring. And not often that they interact, but they do sometimes interact. Typically they don't mind each other that much. There's no competition for females, no competition for food. So even the territorial behavior is not much of a problem to them. Also, white rhinos are more active in daytime. Black rhinos tend to be quite active at night. So it's not that often that you actually see them interacting. In Pilanesberg, where I worked, there were both species, black and white, were quite prevalent. And you occasionally saw them together, but maybe a little bit of interest, especially from the black rhino side. Black rhinos tend to be a little bit more curious about their surroundings, but typically not much of interaction, but definitely not really fighting. Maybe under severe stress conditions, lots of rain, lots of drought, when there's not much rain, and there's competition for water, maybe they'll fight a bit, but it's not really something that happens. Let's get closer. Also, this rhino is now walking into some beautiful light there. So we're just going to try and get onto the side a little bit. We should have a fantastic view of the rhino, if it's only black side, but the light will be nice. A couple of oxpeckers have joined in there as well. Oh, look at that background, James. Beautiful dark clouds in the back. I'm going to try and get a nice photo or two from the low down in the grass here, if possible. Look at that view. That was amazing. I love that background, just the whole dramatic dark sky with the clouds. Amazing, beautiful animal in the foreground. Even the little contrast, the red of the bulls and those oxpeckers. main thing to keep in mind with rhinos, especially when you go on foot, is just where the wind is going. That's why just now we could get quite close and I could get out like that and just move quietly, and it's not a problem because the wind was coming straight to us. If the wind was going towards the rhino, even if you go a few meters away from the car, immediately your scent gets separated and they'll react to it. If you get the wind right, you can sneak up on these guys. I was going to use the cliche of don't try this at home, but normally people don't have rhinos running around their homes. So there's another pan just behind him there which he's checking, but I think the water's dried up in there. Let's just go a bit closer again, just in case it hasn't. We might be lucky. Maybe there's still some mud in there. Of course, it'd be fantastic to see him taking a wallow or oh, there's still water in there. Wow. Bonus.
He's drinking.
Yeah. Sorry, big guy. Unfortunately, we can't move much more. We're going to disturb him. Certainly have a close-up look at all that mud on him starting to dry out. Remember when we found him earlier this afternoon, he was still covered in mud. He's having a drink.
Peter, I've got another question about rhino.
Cool, Jan, actually, sorry, I know we were ready, but he's going to move. Let's just stick with this guy a little bit and we'll answer it just now. Fantastic. Oh, such magnificent animal, massive, massive guy. He's had his drink. Now he's ready to move on a bit more, patrol some more. And maybe eat some more. Jan, let's hear that question.
Peter, the question is from Valerie Berry, and she's asking what kind of socializing do the rhinos do with other rhinos outside of mating? Are they playful, like we see impala or warthogs running around and playing?
Valerie, not quite as playful as your antelope would be, but certainly if you have a lot of rhino. Now in this area we see white rhino fairly often, but we don't have a high number of rhinos like you would in some other reserves, or maybe a couple of 100 years ago before people almost annihilated the species. There would have been a lot of rhino around. They don't get preyed on by many animals, and you would have seen quite large numbers of them. And I have in other reserves, I've seen 14, 15 rhino together, quite often around waterholes, like a little place like this maybe, where there's nice wallowing to be done. You'll find different females and bulls in them all sort of hanging around together, interacting a little bit, smelling each other, a little bit of noise, but not massive interaction. They're not really highly social animals. There's a strong bond between mother and calf, and once that calf reaches 3 years old or so, it normally moves on a bit. And if it's a female calf, it might stay another few years once the second calf is born, and that's quite a sort of a tight family unit. But there's not a high amount of social activity between rhino. But certainly if you had more rhinos, you would see more of them together. Cool, let's cover some ground. Yeah, it's been very, very good with this rhino. Also nice to have questions regarding or relative to what we're looking at. And look forward to having more and more of those.
So Peter, there's a kingfisher just taking a little bath in that jacket.
Where is he?